Cuomo said that he wanted to make Juneteenth a holiday. They're so scared of us that Nancy Pelosi put on some kente cloth and got on her knees. They're so scared of us that the hypocritical, lying governor is going to make Juneteenth a holiday. So let me tell you the hypocrisy. How do you make Juneteenth a holiday and then let your pigs attack us and get away with it? How do you make Juneteenth a holiday and cut $2.5 billion from Medicaid that black people need? How do you make Juneteenth a holiday and cut $400 million from our hospitals during the pandemic? Hypocrite. And Governor, you little lying fool, if you really love black people, then support my reparations bill that's in the state of So the day that you announce Juneteenth as a holiday, say we're going to pay reparations to African people in New York State. This burial ground represented 427 of our remains. Not only do they disrespect us when we are alive, they disrespect us after we die. In this whole downtown area, over 20,000 of our African bones are under the ground of these buildings that they built over our ancestors. 20,000.
Shame.
So we say, reparations now.
Reparations now.
Reparations now.
Reparations now.
Keep your welfare. Reparations now.
Reparations now.
Brothers and sisters, your call Hasty, the Speaker of the New York State Assembly, and tell him we want Charles Barron's reparations bill, A3080A. A3080A. What that bill says, we don't want to be studied. We don't want to see if we should give reparations. My bill is a bill on remedies. We're going to set up a People's Commission, and they will come back and say, this is how much, this is the form, and these are the people who should receive it. Bottom line, pay reparations now. And we say, defund the police.
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 And then after that, dismantle them, and let's build a whole new system of public safety. Stay ready for the revolution, because revolution is the solution.
We say reparations now. It is an empty slogan if you're not prepared to take it. See, all of those of us who are here, right, that we are old. We are old. Reparations is not a gift. It is a debt. It's a debt. When you owe your landlord, what happens? He calls the police and they put you out if you don't pay.
That's what they do.
You got a mortgage? Where these bloodsuckers suck your blood constantly?
Tell them
You don't pay it!
they take jailhouse.
They foreclosed
There you go.
and put you
Out.
and if they don't get enough money from the foreclosures, then all of these, everything you see here, collapses and bails them out. What am I saying? What am I saying? They owe us!
Yes.
They owe us!
They owe us.
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 Know that? What do they do?
They owe us.
What is what?
They owe us.
What? They owe us! What?
They owe us.
What?
They owe us.
They owe us! What?
They owe us.
Listen, y'all. See? The only thing that's gonna get us paid is us like this. Like this. If banks can't open because there's hundreds of demonstrators in front of their doors, say, you owe us. We came to collect. You owe us. You owe us. You owe us. And we got to collect. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? If you hear me, put your fist in the air. Put your fist in the air. If you believe they owe us, put your fist in the air.
Yes.
Because that's a signal to them that we are coming to get them. Y'all hear me? 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 We are coming
To
get paid. I hear you.
Yes.
Coming to get paid. We are coming to get paid. We will walk through all the fast steps, the reparation bills, right? The conferences, the webinars, right? We'll walk through all of them.
Only way.
And then it's going to be D-Day. It's going to be D-Day. And that's when we earn. Y'all hear me? 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 Listen to me. We'll dance all the choruses. Right. Some of us come out of the beat. We'll dance all the choruses. And then the curtain comes down and it's black. It is time to get paid.
Reparations, baby.
It is time to get paid. Right?
Right.
They owe us.
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 And we're coming to get paid.
Coming to get paid.
all of that. And then the curtain dropped.
That's right. That's right.
And the curtain's all back. And the curtain is all back. And that means our allies become black. That means our comrades become black.
Right.
That means that we have come to the place. Where the microphone?
Yes. Yeah.
That means we have come to the place where we gotta get paid. And don't think that that's something wrong or illegal. You're tearing up your communities. We have never had one.
Yes.
They stole us.
And sold us.
They stole us. Right? They owe us. They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
And when the curtain comes down, we are there to get paid. We are there to get paid. We are coming to get paid. Can't hear you.
Coming to get paid.
We are coming to get paid. We are coming to get paid. We are coming to get paid. And you know, see this X? Malcolm said, by any means necessary. By any means necessary. By any means necessary. Peace, y'all.
Black power for black people. Because black people need black power.
Flags in the air.
They stole us.
They stole us.
They sold us.
They sold us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
They stole us.
They stole us.
They sold us.
They sold us.
They owe us.
They owe us.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
The only reason I said to the sister, they gave us a holiday. We didn't even ask for it. Did we ask for a holiday? No. But they gave us one anyway. Because they thought that would cool you out.
Exactly.
The only thing happening right now is people are feeling the power that they have when they are in whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Straight out of Brooklyn. Straight out of Brooklyn. Straight out of Brooklyn. Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
That's why we say no justice,
No peace!
no justice,
No peace!
and now we say no funding the police. No justice,
No peace!
no funding,
No police!
no justice,
No peace!
no funding,
police!
no justice,
No peace!
no funding,
Police!
because they want to wait you out. Y'all hear that? They want to wait you out. Their position is that you don't really mean this. That all we got to do is just wait a while and you'll leave the streets. But every decision being made, let me tell you, that building over there, that's where the FBI is.
That's right.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation. The real terror squad in America. And the other terror squad is the courthouse. They convince you that they are neutral. They convince you to try to stay out of the streets. Why do you think they take protesters and jam them into the cells? Because they hope you get the COVID-19.
That's right.
They hope they say, you want to fight for something, you're going to pay a price for something. But they don't understand us, do they? Do they understand you? No. They don't understand you, do they? way? No. Because we always say, what's coming? War. I can't hear y'all. What's coming? War. I can't hear you. What's coming? War. Who's going to win? We are. Who's going to win? We are. How are we going to do it? The hard way. How are we going to do it? The hard way. How are we going to do it? The hard way. It's the only way we've ever had it. It's the hard way. Nobody ever gave us shit. Every floor that had to be mopped, every latrine that had to be cleaned, every grave that had to be dealt, we've paid for that. As Sister said, these bones were not the bones of no lazy people. There are children down there at 12 years old, their collarbones were bent. They were bent from carrying logs. They died premature death. They were murdered to enrich this.
That's right.
So we always say we got to be in the streets, but we got to teach each other what's happening. A generation, I told the sister, y'all a generation coming up. Y'all understand your responsibility? We're another generation. We ain't going to rest. We got other tasks. But y'all got to own these streets. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
And we say to our white allies, straight ahead, discover what America really is. And to understand it is to walk in our shoes. But we openly welcome your alliance in these streets, because this shit is to kill all of us. And another generation that's coming up. We want a different life for our people. And so understand, when we say crackers, we talking about the ones who crack the whip. We talk about the ones who shoot a George Floyd, or put his knee on his neck, or Breonna, or a 10-year-old Clifford Glover, shot in the back in 1973. Go look him up, 10 years old, shot in the back by Officer Thomas Shea, who's alive. He was never prosecuted. 10 years old. Learn the history of struggle. Because if you in this shit, you gotta be in this shit. It can't be no photo op. It can't be no photo op.
That's right.
Give me 25 people that are clear of what they're doing than 1,000 that are running around like chickens with their heads cut off. You know why we said 2 abreast? Because we got to teach our people how you fight in the streets. The police are a military unit. It is a military unit with a chain of command. They kill you by order. If you go fight in the streets, if these are your streets, you got to know how to deal in these streets. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
So one of the things, we might be in a mob. We might be rolling in a mob, but we might be rolling 2 abreast. But we make those decisions based on what we see and what we want to happen. They don't care. Remember when the war was coming? 2 million people protested in London. 1.5 million people protested in New York City. They bombed Iraq anyway. They're not scared of a mass of people. They're scared of a mass of people who want to tear this shit down.
That's right.
What's the ones that they're scared of? They're scared of the ones who have an understanding of the political economy of capitalism. Black people understand it because we were capital. We were the capital that built this. Straight ahead. We want you to fight for an understanding of what's going on, but don't get out the streets. Don't get out the streets. We're learning more about each other now than we ever had. brothers and sisters and comrades more about each other than we ever had. Because the streets will give us an education if we're listening. If we're here to take pictures, if we're here because it's the thing to do, because it's warm, it's summer, the pandemic let us back out again, we back out in the streets, ain't nothing gonna happen. Black power, is a human right.
Yes,
I want you to understand that. Black power, is a human right.
it's a human right.
We're standing on one of the greatest human rights violations in America. This ain't an antique. This ain't a place to show off. This is a cemetery where our children and mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, we honor them by standing here and not forgetting who they are and not forgetting what we have to do. We want to bring on one of our weapons. You know, culture is a weapon. Culture is a weapon. Culture is a weapon. It gets us through, it gets us over, it gets us under, tells us who we are, tells us what we got to do. Our brother Zaid Mohammed. He said, I should have told, I'd have brought some shit. Yes, brother, you always got some shit. What you talking about, brought some shit? Be some shit. Let me just be some shit. Everybody say, we charge.
We charge.
Genocide.
Genocide.
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 In whose streets?
Our
In
streets.
whose streets?
Our streets.
In 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 whose streets?
Our streets.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Shut him down.
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 I want to thank my comrades from the mighty December 12th movement. My favorite field niggas in the streets of New York. I said my favorite field niggas in the street of New York. That's how we get down. I want to thank my Panther Elder Charles Barron, our elected revolutionary. If you want to get into electoral politics, that's how you roll. You roll with the soul of revolution. Give him a round of applause. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Mighty Malcolm X Commemoration Committee. And so as we walk and put pressure and bring the noise on City Hall, shut down the streets of New York, and come back to the burial ground of our ancestors who built all this shit. Oh yes! We didn't go to Wall Street because it was cute. We went to Wall Street because we were the capital. The wealth of this country was built on our ancestors. Slavery wasn't just South. One of the greatest slave ports in the whole world during the height of slavery was right here to fucking New York. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Malcolm taught us once upon a time, you don't go to court with your criminal, you take your criminal to the world court. And guess what? George Floyd's brother was at the world court just 2 days ago. Yeah, he was. But what we need to do, Malcolm also taught us the crucial importance of building a united front to make the kind of noise, to raise the kind of hell, to shut down what we need to shut down, and to bum rush who we need to bum rush, and to visit who we need to visit. Because it needs to come a time when we shake this whole world order up. And they say, once again, that black man and woman is back on the scene. He's back on the rise. He's back in the streets. He's back to change the game. And that's you and I, sister and brother. Especially all of y'all, all of you new young voices, whole new crew coming up the street. Y'all are the only future we got. And we need you to understand the shoulders that you stand on from these ancestors who built all this shit. And from Malcolm, who taught us how to walk tall. And from Panthers, who taught us how to lock and load when necessary. Yes. Oh yes. And we still got Panthers in prison. Y'all need to run Letitia James the hell out of New York. Jaleel Muttaqin, 49 years, caught with that goddamn COVID-19, should be out of prison. A goddamn white judge let him out. But that buck-dancing house Negro, she would be hiding, appealing. We do not want to lose another freedom fighter in the clutches of the state. Free Jaleel Muttaqin. Free Jaleel Muttaqin. Free Jaleel Muttaqin. What's the call? What's the call?
Freedom all!
What's the call?
Freedom all!
What's the call?
Freedom all!
All of that. The freedom of our political prisoners should be the absolute necessary prerequisite to our people getting what?
Reparations!
I can't hear y'all. I can't hear y'all.
Reparations!
I can't hear y'all.
Reparations!
That's right. This ain't no about no body cameras. This ain't no about no unsecret law. This is about changing the whole goddamn game. So we say, as I close, I say X, y'all say the answer. X!
The answer!
X!
The answer!
X!
The answer!
X!
The answer!
Malcolm!
X!
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 By any means! By any means! By any means!
Yes, sir.
All power to the people. Yeah, the only future we have, train the fuck up. Study the fuck up. Organize, unite, be a united front. We will win. All power to the people. Just one thing, because you know, December 12th movement, we come from, we call something, we begin it, and we also end it. But I want y'all to know what y'all have done. 50 years ago, Malcolm X went to the Organization of African Unity and made a case for the human rights of black people in this country. 50 years ago, he said, what happens to you happens to us. What happens to us happens to you. 50 years later, while we're talking now, the Africa Group, for the first time in history, went to the United Nations and demanded a special investigation into racism and police violence against black people in the United States.
Enough is enough.
I want you to understand the significance of what you do. The whole world is watching. All over Africa, they're demonstrating in solidarity. In France, in Egypt, in South America, in Asia, because of you in the streets. Where's the fight gonna be?
In the streets!
Where's the fight gonna be?
In the streets!
And where are you gonna be?
In the streets!
Where are you gonna be?
In the streets!
Whose street?
Our streets!
Whose street?
Your streets!
We created no justice, no peace. And whose streets? Our streets, 33 years ago on the streets of Bed-Stuy. So you know the history of where it came from. It came from fighting the police and their relationship to selling crack in the black community. Whose streets?
Our streets!
Where's the fight gonna be?
In the streets!
Who's gonna win?
We are!
Who's gonna win?
We are!
That's how we gonna do it.
The hard way!
Black power!
Black power! Black power! Black power!
Black power!
All right, y'all already know what the work is, right?
Yeah!
When we make the call, y'all come out, because what we gonna do all summer? Stay in the streets. What we gonna do all summer?
Stay in the
What we
streets!
gonna do all summer?
Stay in the
What we
streets!
gonna do all summer?
Stay in the streets!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Defund!
No
Police!
Defund!
The police!
All right, y'all.
Alright!
Good work today.
Yeah.
Good work today. Y'all were disciplined and y'all were on point. So when we make the call, come out. One last thing. With the flags, the red, black, and green. Now, If you can give it to brothers and sisters with the X hat on, please do so. Thank you very much. And other than that, disperse, y'all. Disperse in groups. Be safe out here. Stay in these streets. Go to another rally. Go to another rally and another rally. All night, all night, all night, all day. It's Juneteenth. Turn up like you want. Like they told you to turn up for July 4th. Turn up for Juneteenth.
Professor James.